a good financial plan is like an onion. It just has layers on it. You see what he did?
Yeah.
So I went through the withdrawal strategy. He lays on, hey, maybe there's some conversions or something. We're just peeling the onion. All right, so one of the tax strategies here that I really wanted to talk about was the idea of a withdrawal strategy. It sounds simple, but the concept of, you have multiple accounts over your life, and how you withdraw from them means a different tax bill than if you withdraw differently. And that is a return, by the way. So when an advisor or somebody, whoever you're working with, comes up with a withdrawal strategy and says, do this, they're adding that value. They're obviously generating a return because you're paying less tax.
How many people, real quick, how many people are like, oh, well, the markets did this, you did this, but did you not account for the $400,000 of what we're doing with this withdrawal strategy?
Yeah.
Like sometimes people miss that, and that's such an important part of planning and really factoring that in.
And if you're younger, that doesn't matter to you at the moment, right? Maybe how you save the money and which account matters, but the withdrawal strategy, you're not there. But the older crowd, as they get to it and they're like, hey, slow down my investments. Oh, I don't like how slow we're going. Can we do anything else? Yes, absolutely. So let's take a look here. We've got Louis and Lucille Armstrong. Just a quick way to show this. This was called a quick little blueprint. They're 54, and if you look off to the left, we're just going to look at the green stuff for the moment. Louis's got a 401k. In the middle, they jointly have a joint account, emergency savings, and a brokerage account. And then Lucille's done the best here. She's got a Roth, and she's got the IRA. So just for fun, I pre-did this, right? So this is not as fast as this works, right? This is for the sake of production, right? So we don't have to edit this out. Let's say that they just withdraw as they don't know. They just take money out however they think they need to withdraw. Actually, I'll show you that real quick since we're here. Sorry, I'll take an extra second. And if we look, they're obviously very successful. This is all going to work. But if I say withdraw from accounts when they retire, they've got some goals. So they're going to draw down their taxable. And then look, they're just taking from each account as they can. They don't know any better. Just withdraw, just withdraw. And then we've got some surplus here. So it takes money from here. So there's no strategy, right? Well, what happens even if we can generate just a little bit? Again, I pre-did this, so bear with me. But what if we say, hey, instead of you just like taking your money however you think you need, let me tell you how to take your money. And in our case, if we say, let's drain the tax deferred money, the pre-tax, the IRA, Lucille's IRA in this case, and then let's move on to, from there, the taxable account. Let's not drain that in the beginning. And then let's go to your Roth if you had any Roth. So they don't really have any real significant Roth balances here, but just by doing that, simply withdrawing their money differently, there's $100+ extra $1,000, and that's all I've done. I haven't laid on any other tax strategies. I haven't done any potential conversions. We haven't messed with investments or anything. Just that little change to pay the IRS so that they can't send your money to some other country.
Yep.
I did it. I said it.
No, that's it. That's exactly, the best way to look at everything. And so I've got, another one when it comes to the strategies. I mean, what you really have to think through here is if somebody, I'm making some adjustments on it real quick as we were speaking actually. So, because I realized, hey, I didn't have this logged in.
So you weren't listening to me.
I was kind of listening,
Okay.
and I got the gist of what you were doing, but I'm working on what I'm doing.
Sounds like my wife, man.
So if we've got somebody, because also, this is such a simple one, but there's the risk of what people don't often factor in. And so you've got the Roth conversions, but the Roth conversions for the sake of what happens if you're married and something happens to your spouse? What does life look like then? There's always that, what people talk about, the widow tax torpedo, where it's basically like, boom, you're going to have so much higher of a tax.
It's not going to apply to us though, right? I mean, you have a deal. We have a special deal.
If you missed that, he wanted to marry me if something happens to our wives for the sake of things. And I'm like, nah, man, not going to happen, dude. Sorry. That's not happening.
It's all right. I'll find somebody.
You do that. So you've got, retired Roger, Mrs. Retired Roger, 60 years old. Net worth, they've done really well for themselves, $1.9 million, $850,000 in a 401k account for retired Roger, all pre-tax. Then they've got $350,000 that is going to be after-tax, taxable account, a brokerage account. And then you've got another $700,000 for Mrs. Retired Roger, again, all pre-tax. Something we commonly see, because a lot of people have always saved into the pre-tax accounts going into retirement years for the sake of saying, hey, I want to get the tax break right this second. And then now we go back and we say, okay, now we got to figure out the planning side of this. How are we going to do it? And so with that, they're spending, $5,000 a month in retirement years. They're retired. They're wanting to do everything. Everything looks great. The problem is, what happens if retired Roger passes away unexpectedly? Well, if we're looking at this, basically the effective tax rate is going to be much higher if something were to happen to him. And that's where that widow tax torpedo comes into play. So it's like, all right, how can we plan for this? Well, it goes back to your withdrawal strategy. Take advantage of withdrawal strategies. And in this situation, if you're withdrawing from a taxable account, you're spending down those taxable assets first, allowing you to convert your money on the early side of retirement. And some people will actually say, well, what if you actually spent down the tax deferred accounts first? But I ran that scenario just to give you an idea. And for production, we're not going to go through everything, but it didn't make sense. And it often does not make sense because you're still going to have too much tax deferred money in the end that's going to push up the tax bracket. And so in this scenario, if we look at this and we do the conversions in the 12 to 15% bracket, it's got over $523,000 more at the end of life in tax adjusted dollars.
You win.
And so, it's just, if we just got to make sure that everything aligns properly for the sake of their retirement years. And so really, this is a sweet setup for them to be able to ride this thing into the sunset.
It's like an onion, man. You know what I mean? A good financial plan is like an onion. It just has layers on it. You see what he did?
Yeah.
So I went through the withdrawal strategy. He lays on, hey, maybe there's some conversions or something. We're just peeling the onion.
But then you've got
metaphor of the day.
Something else. You've got, what people aren't thinking about, and this is just one little extra nugget here, is, you've got tax brackets that you got to take advantage of. The IRS is giving you things. So if you're pulling from brokerage accounts and you can keep your taxable income extremely low, or let's just say you have a lot of Roth and a little bit of brokerage, if you could keep your tax income here, $44,000, this was 2023 actually, $44,625 for a single married filing separately, or basically single person, $89,250 for married filing jointly. You keep your income below that.
Yep.
You got 0% for long-term capital gains, and then also qualified dividends. Qualified, yep. And so there's some big opportunity here for, basically not paying hardly any tax at all if you can work these strategies properly.
I think the more we get into political season here, the more questions we get wrapped around that, where people say, you know what, enough of this. I think there's a shift where people go, this guy, this girl, whatever, you know what, I can't take it anymore. I don't like the way they manage the money. And so we often, we look at these things. You got to do it.
Yeah. And Orion's belt? Orion's belt up there?
Yeah.
Big waste of space, huh?
I waited this whole time for that.
That's okay. It's only got 3 stars.
Oh, okay.
I figured I'd come with a dumb one and then the even dumber follow-up. It was kind of great.
It was really good.
I was hoping you wouldn't be like, yeah, man. Because I'd be like, it just threw me all off.
No, we really enjoy his jokes around here. They're amazing.